Tellico Nymph. And tie this on a size 14. Okay. Get one in the vise. First thing I'm going to do is wrap on a little bit of sticky back lead to add some weight to the fly. You can add as much as you want. I'm just going to put one layer. Use your fingernail or there you go. Okay. Use some black uni thread. Start up near the eye. Cover that lead. Trim away the waste. Okay. Once I get down to the back of the hook shank there, I'm going to use the last little bit of a Hungarian partridge tail feather and just get some fibers pulled off here. Trim a little chunk off. I'd say 7 to 10 fibers will be good. Okay. Tie these on the pinch and loop. Check for length. Pull those a little bit shorter. Okay, I'm going to take one, wrap underneath the tails, and pull forward and then back on top. That'll keep the tails a little bit flared and kicked up just a tiny bit. Okay. Next, trim away so those will be full length of the body. Okay, very good. I am going to now tie in some gold wire for the ribbing. Okay, take that up. I like to keep everything on top. Doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to dub over this anyway, but I like them to stay fairly neat. Okay, once you have that covered up, come back a little ways and we're going to tie in some Peacock Curl. This is going to be a rib on the fly. So take out a strand. Test the strand by just giving it a little pop. Hold both ends and give it a little pop. If it snaps in half, you've got a real brittle one, and that'll save you. I've also popped off just a little bit of the tip there, so it is on just slightly stronger part of the fly. Okay, come back with that down to the tails. Next thing to go on is going to be our shell back, or just the back of the fly. We're going to use a bunch of pheasant tail fibers, and like I said, a bunch. I got about 3/4 of an inch worth width there when I pull them up off the stem. Okay, pull those off. I'm going to go ahead and trim away about 1/4 of the way back the tips. That way when I tie this in, I'm on a thicker part of the stems of the barbs, and I'm going to tie that in right on top. Okay, make sure those are right on top. That'll work. Tie those down. Okay. Finally ready for our dubbing. The dubbing, I've mixed a little bit of rabbit fur dubbing and just a little bit of more of a glinty yellow dubbing. Let me give you the name. This is a bright blend. So I mix a little pinch with that in with some hairline, basic bright yellow rabbit dubbing. And I've trimmed the glittery stuff a little bit shorter and then just hand mixed it like this. Just to add a little bit of a kick to it. Okay, just add a little bit of this at a time and build up a dubbing rope. Okay, come back, start your dubbing, and move forward. Again, when you run out, add a little bit more. Add it on in thin, sparse chunks so that you're not making a big lump or a twisty curly rope on the thread versus actually getting it to dub on nice and tight. I'll have to show you an example of that here on another video, but if you dubbing too thick, it'll just roll itself into a cord and come right off the thread. So be sparse with it. Okay, I'm going to build a small taper as I move forward here. Maybe one little touch more here, just to make it back up front. Okay, there you are. Got any little long crazy stuff, you can trim it away. Next thing to come forward is that peacock. So nice wide palmerine wraps of the peacock herl, and tie off. Pull that off. Come back a few turns again. Okay, next thing to go over is going to be this pheasant tail. So the curlies are still on there. That'll keep them all twisted up. I like to trim these off. Now I can kind of comb out these pheasant tail fibers, barbs, and actually get them to lay flat on top of the hook shank. So take just a second here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it looks nicer. There we go. Nice little loop. Check that everything's nice and on top. Tighten down. Very good. Trim away. Okay, next I'm going to counter rib my wire so that it crosses those peacock curl wraps and strengthens them. So come right on top, pull straight down, right on top, pull straight down. So not only am I tying in the shell back, I'm also tying down the peacock curl and adding my rib. Alright, so make sure that you cross your ribbing, your counter rib material, and then one in front of it or two. Keep it nice and tight. Again, I'm going to fold it back and really secure that wire in, and wire breaks right off. Okay, that's what we've got so far. Looking good. Don't have much left to go. We just have to stick in our hackle. I'm going to use a furnace hackle. This is around a size 14. I've stripped off just a little bit of the stem there that you can see, exposed it, and face it concave side towards the fly so that when I wrap it, the fibers want to swing backwards. Okay, one full wrap in one spot, and a second, and tie off. Okay. Just use the tips of your blades and push forward here to trim that off. That way you're not cutting off a bunch of hackle fibers. Now anything that's coming forward of the eye, just press them back. Just take a second to get them all. Okay. And I'm going to tie slightly back over these to angle them backwards and create my head. Very good. Come straight on with a whip finish. Trim away my thread. Let's take a look at it. Looks good. Okay. Throw a little bit of head cement on here. Just get a little bead on the bodkin. There we go. Lid back on. Come in a little bit for you. So there it is. Nice little shell back. Got a counter ribbed body. Should be fairly durable fly.